This is a demonstration of soft pastel drawing. The artists to look at are Edgar, Degas and Odilon, Redon, both masters at using soft pastels. We're going to be using student grade pastels along with black and white charcoal pencils. The paper is a Canson pastel paper, especially formulated for the use with this material. It has a bit of a tooth or grit to it, which is a necessary thing when you're working with pastels. You can see my pastels are quite chunky. It's very difficult to do detailed, fine work with such thick sticks. So charcoal pencils will be very useful in creating some detailed sections. The colors, however, are very beautiful in pastels. The reason is because pastels are essentially a pigment, a pure pigment that is ground into a powder and then mixed with a bit of a binder, a minimum amount of binder in fact. That's why pastels are dusty. The powder is then mixed into a paste and shaped into sticks. So you're essentially using almost pure pigment on paper. If you invest in an artist's quality soft pastels, you can get sets of up to 400 colors, and the colors will be even more vivid and intense because there will be more pigment in a better quality pastel set. I rarely use black in a shading of the form, but in this case I will use the charcoal pencil just to darken some of the sections. However, for the shaded areas of colors, try not to use black, for it becomes a very dull looking painting when you overuse the black. So I chose to do Sundae in the fields because I'm interested in a more unique and intriguing compositions. So sometimes putting two contrasting elements together creates an unusual type of visual experience. And I thought pairing a Sundae dessert with a kind of a countryside scene might be an interesting combination. Also, technically speaking, the ice cream is in the foreground, so we're gonna have a lot of detail in the berries and things that are close to the bottom of the picture plane, whereas the landscape is going to be, again in contrast, a more blurry and sort of a more diluted vision surrounding it. So we're going to use slightly different techniques. You want sharp focus on the objects in the front and more of a dissolving effect in the environment around it. Pastels also blend beautifully just by applying two colors slightly overlapping each other. You don't need to use fingers or anything else really. Just use the sticks themselves to do the blending. And the spheres, which are the ice cream scoops, are perfect practice to create a three-dimensional form on two-dimensional paper. So the sky are going to be slightly darker along the top and the edges, and it becomes lighter gradually as it moves towards the horizon line, and that creates depth. It is called aerial perspective when you're creating depth through using different values of color, and at the same time you're also creating a more diluted, less contrasting effects further away, whereas the front of the painting is much clearer, sharper, and has more contrast. I haven't done any blending on the front part of the painting in the Sundae and the details around it. However, I will do a little bit of blending in the surrounding area in the landscape, and that's because I would like to create a little bit more focus onto the ice cream sundae. And you can invest in various tools for blending, such as the blending stump, but I'm going to use a basic technique of just lightly rubbing Kleenex over the surface to soften everything. You will notice when you're doing this, when you're doing any kind of blending with a tool, your intensity of the color is becoming less obvious, and so you may need to bring out a little bit of darkness and vitality back into the painting. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you will leave some comments and come back again for more videos on various techniques and ideas.